PokeClass is sponsored by CollectorsCash.com, who now have your new set Next Destinies in stock at amazing prices. Get your boxes, sealed products and single cards like Mewtwo EX for the most competitive prices around, as well as all of your current format goodies within easy reach. If you're looking to stock up on anything Pokemon or any other card game for that matter, then head over to CollectorsCash.com after the show. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 65 of PokeClass. Sorry that updates have been very slow recently, but as many of you know, I have moved house and I haven't had a stable internet connection up until recently. And pair that with my laptop's hard drive crashing, and it wasn't the best of weeks. However, I attended a stage just yesterday and figured instead of doing a deck analysis that I was going to do, I'm going to do a report for you since it will be faster for me to put together, and I'll get the deck analysis out next week. So without further ado, here is how my last state championship of 2012 went. So we woke up at around 5 in the morning to travel all the way up to Manchester, and the turnout is pretty good. I think that they almost hit capacity in the store, and some incredibly good players turned up, including two of the Sakums, the Armsteads, Tommy Roberts, George Boone and many more, so this was going to be tough to get any far. My city's performances this year were very subpar, with me breaking even at 1 with Typhlosion Magnezone, and then going 2-3 with a very techie Zekrom Eels list at Nottingham just a few weeks ago. To be fair, I hadn't really tested a lot with the new set, and my list was way too inconsistent, which showed at the tournament. So knowing that this would be the largest tournament before Nationals, I put my fair bit of testing in and changed my list to be as consistent as possible. When we got to it, we had a fair few Masters, not showing the exact number, but we had 6 rounds of Swiss and a top 8 Cup, not too shabby at all. But having just 6 rounds means a lot of 4-2s are going to miss Cup, so it's 5-1 or Ride on Resistance. We handed lists for check-in later on and on to the first round. Oh, and did I mention I was only running 1 Mewtwo? I only own just the one, and getting a second one wasn't possible on the day, so I went with one and added a third Thundurus and had 2 normal Zekroms, so opposing Mewtwo shouldn't actually be that much of an issue. Let me just apologise first for not mentioning names. I'm so bad at remembering them, but everyone I played was really friendly, and if you played me in any round I forget, then please message me and I'll fix it straight away. First round was against a guy I met at Manchester when I went to Battle Roads all the way back in October, and he's an awesome guy from Wales playing the Mirror. The Mirror was something that I wasn't too confident in, since luck can have a lot to do with it. All I could hope was to go first and have a workable hand. Of course, I go second and I start Zekrom EX to his Thundurus. If I remember correctly, he misses the turn 1 charge, whereas I can get my collector going and grab all the Dynamo I can after seeing him whiff a dual ball. After attaching manually, it's on to his turn and he whiffs another dual ball flip and has the level ball for Tyrogue, catches up my 30 HP Dynamo and takes a KO. From here I'm able to dominate by being able to send up a free retreat Dynamo, get down an Eel and start setting up a Zekrom and play double colours on my Zekrom EX for a swift KO. The next turn he just can't get anything going and I strong vault for the game. Unfortunate for him with the flips, but that's the risk you take with dual ball, and I'm glad I took mine out just before turning in my list. Next round is against a Pokemon from Aberdare, and she's playing Electric with various EXs including Zekrom and Kyurem. From the get-go, I think it's another Mirror as she goes first with double Thundurus. Luckily, she misses the turn 1 charge, and I'm able to collect her for my Dynamo and get charge going a turn ahead of her. From here, she benches 3 EXs which become my prime targets for Disaster Bolts, and then Bolt Strike KOs, netting me 2 prizes apiece. I think I only give up the single prize and move on to 2-0. So I'm set for Cup still, but starting to see some Terrakion decks popping up and winning too, and I'm playing one of them next thanks to Tommy Roberts. Usually this matchup can be handled by Mewtwo, but since he runs both Landorus and 2 Mewtwo of his own, this isn't going to be a winning strategy for my lone Mewtwo. He gets to go first and has a flying start with an Abundant Harvest, threatening a Gaia Hammer next turn. I do have Pokegear into Collector and can start setting up, but long story short is I just cannot keep up with his turn 2 Gaia Hammer, when Terrakions are sitting on the bench with experienced share, and Landorus having minus 20 resistance meant it was out of range for consistent Bolt Strike KOs. The game ends fairly quickly in a very hard matchup, and I'm at 2-1, needing to win out to make Cup. Fourth round, I'm paired down against a really good Pokedad who I've played before, and I'm set for another mirror match, but I know he runs 2 Mewtwo, so I need to be careful. I get to go first this time, starting Thunderous with energy to start charging, but I have to level ball my way into Dynamo, which isn't ideal. I charge and he starts with his Mewtwo with DCE swiftly attached. Pair this with a catcher on my Dynamo and I've got nothing much in my field and am a prize down. My next turn really isn't that great either. I top deck a Dynamo and have to level ball again for the second one and bench them both with a Zekrom as well. My thinking here is that I can attach from my hand, I then use plus power and leave his Mewtwo within just 80 damage left, ready for another Disaster Bolt as his field isn't actually looking too strong otherwise. I do this and he proceeds to then attach another double colours to his Mewtwo and KOs my Thunderous. This leaves me in a very dodgy spot as I have no eels and now no energy on the board, and I'm swiftly knocked to 3 prizes down when an unimpressive turn on my part gets even worse. However, I managed to junk arm for level ball to get me an eel and bench a Mewtwo with an energy on it to take it down. At this point I have Juniper in my hand, but I need to get an end, so I Poke Gear and receive one of the 3 I run and end him to 3 and give myself a fresh 6. This gives me the opening to Dynamotor and KO his Mewtwo with X-Ball and pull forward. From here his top decks are incredibly bad and I'm able to predict what he's holding in hand from his searches and excessive junk arm used to stay in the game. I only used my Mewtwo once before retreating it to the bench and used Thunderous and a normal Zekrom to 2-hit KO his Zekrom EX and then used Catcher for my last prize. This was my best game of the day and just shows how a well-timed end can turn a seemingly lost game into a win. Next round is against Manfred Lim, who had just come second at Estates the weekend before with Terrakion Landorus, but I'm pleased to see when he's added in a Celebi and Virizion to give me at least some chance at this matchup. Also, he only runs one Mewtwo and he unfortunately starts with it, giving me the chance to get going on taking some swift prizes. Both of us whiff on energy on supporters for around 3 turns, but a nicely timed Pond gives me a Thunderous and energy to start using charge. From here I'm able to 2-hit KO a Mewtwo for a very strong lead and he is still running dry on energy. He does bring the prizes closer by using Retaliate on many of my electrics, but Super Rod keeps them coming as my Mewtwo sweeps up all but one prize, which Zekrom finishes off. I'm really happy to beat Terrakion, which is an unfavourable at best matchup, and all I need is one more min to make cut. And my last Swiss round is against Nick Pierce playing CMT, my first of the day, and a deck I really enjoy playing against. Having 3 Thunderous makes the matchup a bit more favourable, but his 2 Mewtwo's are going to be troublesome for my 1. I get to go first and get the turn 1 charge to his Tornadus and Mewtwo start. His hand is less than workable and attaches DCE and simply passes. I'm able to get the turn 2 Disaster Bolt to take that double colourless away, while evolving into 2 Eels and getting a Zekrom prepped for 2-hit carrying his Mewtwo without having to use mine. This manages to pull off with him being forced to retreat into Smeagol and portrait my N, which gets me the catcher needed to go up to a 3 prize lead. From here he does get his setup in a single turn with multiple energy drops and a Mewtwo taking down my powered up attackers on the bench, but the Sky Arrow bridge he had to play means I have a bit more versatility with my Thunderous, and I set up my own Mewtwo to put me down to a single prize. He is able to get the return KO, which leaves him at just 2 prizes, but a catcher and another Disaster Bolt knocks out his last Tornadus for the game. A really great game, and I finished Swiss at 5-1 with fairly decent matchups ahead, apart from one, which was Tommy and Terrakion. And of course, the pairings are placed for top 8 and me and Tommy are paired up once again. This was going to be a very uphill battle, especially when they changed to 45 minutes best of 3 for the first round of top 8. I needed some bad luck on his part to stay in the running. Game 1 went fairly well with me managing to take easy prizes off of Smeagol and Shaymins where I could, but when those ran out I had to take him on with my Mewtwo, but before doing so I used N to get us both down to 2 cards, my only hope. His 3 cards after drawing are very workable, but I think he needed the double heads to pull off anything of value, essentially getting double heads on Dual Ball to grab his own Mewtwo and Shaymin to carry my Mewtwo for the game. He also has the Super Rod in hand to get his only Shaymin back into the deck, and then proceeds to flip the double heads he needs to take out my Mewtwo for Game 1. Game 2, and there really isn't much to say to be honest. His deck worked perfectly while mine struggled to get going, and he always had a way out of my constant catcher stalling attempts. He took all of 6 of his prizes by the time I'd taken just the 2, and I end the tournament there while he proceeds to win the entire event. So overall, not a bad day at all. I managed to top cut all of my state attendances this year, including the Pride Cup, and now sit at 15 championship points. Nowhere near enough to earn an invite, but still something I'm proud of getting. Thanks for watching this week's episode of PokeClass. All of my uploads will return to normal now. I've got a load of Let's Play episodes to upload, along with a ton of PTCGO games to narrate and put up too. Please check them out if you haven't started watching them already. Next PokeClass will feature the deck analysis I was planning for this week, so please make sure that you subscribe and please leave a like to see if we can exceed yet another like target. See you all next week.